Hola estudiantes, esta lección es sobre la gramática de capítulo 5.a y la lección se llama el presente perfecto. El presente perfecto. To form the present perfect tense, combine the present tense of the verb haber with a past participle. You generally use the Spanish present perfect in the same way that you use its English equivalent. Por ejemplo, no he reparado la bicicleta todavía. I have not repaired the bicycle yet. ¿Qué trabajos has tenido? What jobs have you had? The present tense of the verb haber is as follows. He, has, ha, hemos, habéis, y han. To form a past participle of a verb in Spanish, you need to add ado to the stem of AR verbs and add ido to the stem of ER and IR verbs. Por ejemplo, el verbo hablar, the past participle would be hablado. El verbo comer, the past participle would be comido. Y el verbo vivir, the past participle would be vivido. Now I'd like you to write the past participles of these three verbs in your notes. Presentar, conocer, y pedir. You should have written down presentado, conocido, y pedido. So here's what the whole thing looks like. These are the present perfect forms of the verb hablar. He hablado, has hablado, ha hablado, hemos hablado, habéis hablado y han hablado. Vamos a practicar. Para el número 1, yo, el verbo bailar. What would the present perfect be? You should have written down he bailado. Número 2. Tú, el verbo correr. You should have written down has corrido. Usted, el verbo dormir. You should have written down ha dormido. Nosotros, el verbo reparar. What would the present perfect be? You should have written down hemos reparado. Vosotros, para el verbo repartir. You should have written down habéis repartido. Y finalmente, ustedes, para el verbo tener. You should have written down han tenido. There are some verbs, like verbs that have two vowels in the infinitive form, except for the UI verbs, like destruir and so on, that require an accent mark on the I in the past participle. Here are some examples. Caer becomes caído con acento. Caer means to fall. Traer becomes traído. Traer means to bring. Leer, leído con acento. Leer is to read. Oír, oído. Oír means to hear. Reír, reído. Reír means to laugh. Y creer, creído. Creer means to believe. Puedes practicar aquí con el verbo proveer. It's spelled P-R-O-V-E-E-R. So what would that look like when you apply the rule that I just told you about, where you need an accent mark on the E? You should have written down proveído with an accent on the I, proveído. Y número dos, I'd like you to do the participle of the verb sonreír. Sonreír spelled S-O-N-R-E-I-D-O. So what would the past participle be? You should have written down sonreído with an accent on the I again. And by the way, proveer means to provide, and sonreír means to smile. Okay, let's talk about where do I put a no if it's a negative verb, or where do I put a pronoun if it's a verb that has a pronoun with it. We place negative words, object pronouns, and reflexive pronouns before the form of haber. Por ejemplo, no he repartido las flores todavía. Mi profesora me ha escrito una carta de recomendación. El dueño se ha ido temprano a la oficina. So when I'm trying to figure out the order, when I have multiple things going on, first would come the no, and then the pronoun, and then the form of haber, and then lastly the verb, the participle of the verb. Like, no he repartido, or me ha escrito, or se ha ido. Or if I wanted to make this negative, it would be no se ha ido, etc. Ok, vamos a practicar un poco más. Número uno, I would like to see you do the present perfect of no seguir en la forma tú. So you should have written down no has seguido. Número dos, presentarse en la forma yo. You should have written down me he presentado. Y número tres, no conocerse. And I'd like that in the form nosotros. So now we have 4 words that you should have written down. No, nos, hemos conocido. Ok, clase, eso es el presente perfecto de capítulo 5.1. Hasta mañana en clase. Chao.